Terrorists just took over their school. The students have no weapons.
Are you with me or not? Of course we're with you.
And no way out.
Look at everybody killed. It's too late to back out now.
The only chance they've got...
We're really gonna do this? You bet.
...is each other. Toy Soldiers, rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Do You Even Movie? I'm, of course, your host, Henrique Couto, here with my good buddy and Crow superfan.
Yes, Crow
Double
superfan.
D, David Denoyer.
Greetings.
How many times have you dressed as Eric Draven for Halloween?
Actually, only once.
How many times have you dressed as him in general?
Only once. I have one. There is one specific picture that I have for Horrorama. Actually, I dressed up as the Crow once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, so that was the one time?
One time. One and only time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I always imagined you were like the joke that the devil makes in South Park.
Oh, in South Park, nobody better come as the Crow because always like 3 people come as the Crow every year. It's embarrassing.
No, they just show up as the Crow because they want to look hot, and then he dresses as the Crow.
And then he also excuses Steve Irwin from that party.
Well, there you have it. Anyway, we are speaking of the Crow.
Oh boy,
we just walked out. Well, we just finished.
Yeah, we just finished.
We just finished watching the 2024 remake of The Crow.
Yes,
and it was preview night.
Mm-hmm.
When you're watching this, it's been a little bit since then.
Yep.
And Dave wanted to share his thoughts.
I do.
I might share some of mine.
All right.
Before we jump into a film that I am super excited to talk about. It's 1991's Toy Soldiers. And this may be one of those bromance films for us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, we have a few.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
One of these days, we'll do One Man's Justice. Just so we can tell the story about watching One Man's Justice.
Absolutely.
And so we can see MC Hammer murder
Suffocate
people.
a guy with a
friggin'
bag.
Brutal.
My God.
So the 2024 The Crow, I would call it a controversial somewhat remake.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been afraid to touch The Crow as far as a remake goes. We had sequels up until 2004?
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And they were all direct to video.
Yep.
They were a little on the cheesy side. Some people hate them. Some people like them though.
City of Angels was not direct to video. That was in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Salenation's where they started going to the direct to video.
I stand corrected. So now they've decided to not only, for those who've never seen the Crow sequels, they are sequels, but they're other stories of crows.
They are not Eric Draven. Eric Draven is only in the first one, played by Brandon Lee, and then you've got I can't remember his name, but you got one guy in the second one that does a character that I cannot think of his name right now. Second one's third one's a death row inmate who gets sent back to avenge his girlfriend, kind of like the same thing as the first one.
Well, sure.
And then the fourth one is Edward Furlong's Wicked Prayer, which listen to myself and Birdman on This Week in Geek talk about that one because, my God, that movie has to be seen to be believed.
If you want to find that, you can just go to your favorite podcasting app and put in This Week in Geek, all one word.
Yep.
And you can find, you just search Double D's name. The Loose Cannon program on there.
Yep.
So, but that all being said,
yes.
Before you say your opinions,
okay,
I know that your first impression was you tried to remain positive.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I absolutely did.
I mean, they threw everything at this. It had a pretty big budget.
Yeah.
It had which Skarsgård was it again?
Bill Skarsgård.
It was
Pennywise.
The guy who played Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård, who is becoming a huge
good
name,
actor too. Yeah,
and he's a great actor. Yeah, absolutely. And so they threw everything at it to give it the best foot forward.
Yeah.
I would say
so
in that way. So I remember you were kind of pissed because everybody was shitting on it because from the moment they released the photographs of how Draven looked, which I can't pretend I also didn't think he looked
talked
kind of
about
rough.
it on the show. Yeah.
So your first impression when you saw the first trailer.
When I saw the first trailer, which again was shared by our buddy Birdman, he let me know when it had come out. I watched it before. It was a Friday that it came out, and I had to go to work for my shift at the time. And I watched it before I went to work, and I remember just being amped, honestly, because it looked fun. There was enough difference in it, obviously, that they were doing with the story and the characters. But for the most part, it looked like it was still following the formula of The Crow.
Right.
The vengeance was there. Shelley was there. The whole story of what I thought was the original film was there. And to be honest, too, the violence looked decent. The style of it looked fun.
It looked a bit John Wicky.
Wicky, absolutely.
But John Wick is such an inspiring film. It was so well done and so well received.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's inspired by John Wick a little bit at this point.
At this point, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, overall, I went into the movie having low expectations because I don't even know. Did we get a second trailer? We didn't get a second trailer, did we?
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't think we did. If we did, I missed it. But that first trailer, I guess was the only trailer, it gave me enough promise. It's just like, even if this isn't, balls to the wall an awesome Crow movie, it probably will still be somewhat enjoyable. But the natural flow of everybody outside of fandom was ready to tear it apart from the start.
Yeah. I mean, the internet was not happy.
They were not happy. So when we went into the theater today, as I said, I had low expectations. I was ready for it to go no matter how it went, except I did not expect it to plainly be as bad as it was.
Kitten's got claws, everybody.
Yeah. I am a huge Crow fan. As I sit here with my Crow T-shirt, I have seen all the sequels. I've read many of the graphic novels and the actual novels, the books that have done as spinoffs and whatnot.
So you actually read the original graphic novel that the first film was based on?
Yep.
Oh wow!
Multiple times.
So your opinion, because the big thing they were touting, is that they were going back to the source material.
Yeah,
that's what they kept saying, was that was why they were doing it. They wanted to make something more accurate to the graphic novel.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you disagree.
I disagree hardcore. I'm not going to give too many spoilers because I could honestly spoil the whole movie pretty easily, but I don't want to do that even if this is, 2-3 weeks after it's been released. You'll probably hear about it online for that matter. But the main problem that I had, and I know that you had too, is that you have a story of Eric and Shelley, who in the original film are murdered on the night before their wedding, on Devil's Night.
Right.
And they've been together for a while. They have a romance. They're
incredibly wholesome, considering they're stuck in the ghetto.
Yeah, because the reason that they were murdered in the first movie is because Shelley was trying to go against the landlord, essentially, of their property, who turns out to be Top Dollar, and he sends his goons to basically fuck her up. And
she was going to report all the fire code violation stuff. He was basically being a slumlord on top of being the kingpin of drugs, prostitution, everything in that town.
Yeah, and also with that in mind too, you also have a Detroit setting. You have a Detroit setting with a city that has a lot of cityscapes to it and whatnot, but not as big as they make it in this movie, which is like a New York setting.
Yeah, which was shot in, I want to say, Hungary?
Hungary, that sounds right.
Something like that.
But way more easy to find sympathy for Eric and Shelley in the original movie, whereas in this one we meet them in a rehab center. And
they meet in a rehab center.
Yeah, I was to say, because Shelley is basically sent there because she is found with drugs while she's trying to escape from her former boss. That's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into. Basically, you have two characters that are toxic to each other and fall for each other so quickly because they escape together out of the rehab center and basically go into hiding and start a romance. But again, they're drug addicts. They are really toxic for one another and for their own lives, for that matter, as well.
Correction, by the way, shot in the Czech Republic in Prague.
Oh, Czech Republic. Okay.
So just wanted to correct that real quick.
But you're given these characters with basically 2 weeks that they are together before they are unfortunately executed. And then 2 weeks after that, we basically get into the story of him coming back and being resurrected. Whereas in the first film, they were together a long time, probably a few years before their wedding night, obviously. And then it takes a year exactly for him to come back and start going after the goons, which there are no goons in this movie either, I want to add as well.
I mean, there are henches.
There's henches, but not T-Bird, not Fun Boy, not Top Dollar. All the fun Jolly Pirate nicknames, as Eric Draven says in the movie, are gone. I mean, none of that is there. And then on top of that, too, you just have a very dull pace of a movie.
I would have to agree. I actually started dozing off, and I don't really do that during movies anymore. Not since I started becoming medicated for a certain ailment.
Yeah,
I'll talk about that sometime, but not today. So, but yeah, no, the pacing's not slow,
not great. It takes him 50 minutes to essentially become the Crow, but then technically about 80 minutes to become the actual Crow.
I think 80 is strong, probably 60 to 70
60
max.
70 at least.
But but it's halfway through the movie when he even has the makeup, which isn't exactly like the Crow, but it's
works.
Similar.
Yeah, but to wrap it up, it's just they took a lot of big risk in this movie, and I applaud them for taking those risks. Where I don't applaud them is this did not feel any use of source material except for the names and the whole vengeance storyline.
Yeah. Knowing now that you have read the graphic novel, it seems like they didn't really take anything from it other than the character names and vengeance.
My biggest problem with the movie is that it doesn't feel like a Crow film in any element that I could pick out. Because I remember I leaned over to you about like 20 minutes in and I was just like, well, this has changed. We don't have Sarah. We don't have Officer Albrecht. We don't have anything of the style of that movie that brings anything to the forefront that makes it feel like this is a Crow entry.
Or the emotional heart of having the community that they care about. It's really, they're both very unlikable characters.
Yeah, they're unlikable characters, unfortunately. And with that, then you have Draven, Eric Draven, who is you're following along with the story as he's trying to figure out his Crow powers, which they don't have one fucking shred of Crow vision in the movie at all.
No, they don't.
They really don't even use the Crow that much.
They just keep cutting to it.
Yeah, I mean, it flies with him, but like as far as like any of the powers and stuff go, that is one thing I'll say. I did appreciate how they showed his injuries and whatnot because that is closer to the graphic novel.
Okay, yeah.
So him feeling pain and having all that shit happen to his body as he's stabbed, shot, and whatnot totally makes sense, and that worked for me. But overall, it's not a recommend for me, guys. I hate saying that as a lifelong Crow fan. This is just not a good movie, unfortunately.
Wow, brutal.
Yeah, that's me saying that. You and I have already said that this may be one of the worst movies we've seen in theaters in a bit.
I hate to be mean.
Yeah, we don't do that on this show.
No. It felt very uninspired.
Yeah.
Maybe it was too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, and if anybody out there is listening to this and did enjoy it, I'm super happy for you. I am very happy that you enjoyed the movie, and I hope that you also get a chance to see some of the other Crow works, because I think having now seen this movie and knowing what's already out there, including the TV show, there's a lot of good content out there that you could just kind of go back to and not really go see this one.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm throwing shade, and I don't want to do that on this show, so we will just wrap it up there. Crow 2024, not a recommend.
But still recommend Cuckoo anyway.
Cuckoo, yes.
Oh yeah, Dave finally saw Cuckoo.
I finally saw Cuckoo, and it's strongly recommended.
So, okay. So that all out of the way.
Yes.
It's back to school month of sorts.
Yes, it is, in a sense, yes.
I mean, well, we have a lot to get to.
We have some adjustments this month, but yes.
Well, we love your recommendations.
Yeah.
And this was a recommendation from our good buddy Wolfdan.
That fit into our premise for the show, too.
Yeah. And we want your recommendations for movies to watch, so send your recommendations to doyouevenmovie@gmail.com or go to doyouevenmovie.com. Send us a message. We love hearing from you guys.
Absolutely.
And we love your recommendations. And if we like the movie you recommend, we'll try to shoehorn it in as soon as we can.
Which is why Toy Soldiers went to the top of the fucking list.
Yeah, well, that's one we've loved for a very long time. So with that all said, Toy Soldiers, 1991.
All right.
You want to give the pertinent deets?
Pertinent deets. So, Toy Soldiers 1991, 1 hour and 51 minutes, rated R for violence and language. Our director and writer on the film, one of 3 writers, is Daniel Petrie Jr. He gets his start as a writer in 1984 with a little film called Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh.
Comes right out of the gate strong. Then does one of my favorite underrated 80s, I don't even know what you would call it if it's a cop film, but The Big Easy with Dennis Quaid in 86. Have you ever seen The Big Easy?
Oh, that one sounds really familiar.
I may have to bring that over for a Friday night. It's Dennis Quaid is in New Orleans. He belongs to a family of police officers, but he's finding out as he becomes moved up in the department that his family is actually dealing with a lot of corrupt business.
Oh, okay.
It's really good. Beverly Hills Cop 2 in 87, which he gets character credit for. Shoot to Kill in 1988.
No way.
No way, yeah. We just watched Shoot to Kill recently.
Yeah, I like Shoot to Kill.
Turner and Hooch in 89. Then he does Toy Soldiers, which he's the writer and director on in 91. Beverly Hills Cop 3, which he gets character credit on in 94. In the Army Now, writer and director on in 94.
Wow.
Talk about a jump. The Big Easy TV series in 96, he gets character credit for. Framed in 2002, he's writer and director on. Pictures of Hollis Woods in 2007. Combat Hospital 2011. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F in 2024. He's a writer on for characters.
Okay. For a second, I thought he came back and directed it. I was going to be excited.
No, directing-wise, he also did Toe Tags in 96, Dead Silence in 97, Dawn Patrol in 2014, and Christmas at Rosemont in 2015.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Moving on down to another writer, we have William P. Kennedy. He is the author of the novel that Toy Soldiers is based off of. He does that novel in 91. Before that, though, he had the Himmler Equation in 89, the Moscato Lesson in 87, Rules of Encounter in 92, and one of his other famous ones, Dark Tide from 1995.
Okay.
Toy Soldiers is the only one adapted into a film, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did not have any other works adapted. Other writer on the film is David Koepp. He gets his start in 1988 writing for Apartment Zero, Why Me in 1990, Dark Angel, a.k.a. I Come in Peace in 1990 as well.
Okay.
Also writes Bad Influence in 1990, Toy Soldiers in 91. Then he gets credit on Death Becomes Her in 92.
I love me some Death Becomes Her.
Is great. Jurassic Park in 93. One of my big favorites, Carlito's Way in 93, which is also adapted from a book.
That's a great one.
The Paper in 94.
Oh, man, I love The Paper.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this guy's got a lot of great credits.
The Shadow in 94. Mission Impossible in 96.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now he's into heavy hitters.
The Trigger Effect, which he's writer and director on in 96 as well. Lost World Jurassic Park in 97. Snake Eyes in 98. Stir of Echoes in 99, writer and director on. Panic Room in 2002. Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi one in 2002.
Wow.
Secret Window in 2004,
wow.
which he is writer and director on. Zathura, Space Adventure in 2005. War of the Worlds remake in 2005. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 2008. Ghost Town, writer and director on in 2008. Writes on Angels and Demons in 2009. Premium Rush, he's writer and director on in 2012.
I really like Premium Rush.
I need to revisit it because it was one that came out when I was working at FYE, and I know that we had it on for a couple days, and it did seem like a lot of fun.
I really liked it.
Then he does Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit in 2014, Inferno 2016, The Mummy remake in 2017.
Well,
You Should Have Left in 2020, which he's writer and director on. The Kevin Bacon movie with the house, the room that's bigger than it is inside than outside.
Yeah, it's all right. It
was fine.
It was a fine movie.
Kimmy 2022, and then Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny in 2023.
Wow.
So he has written on several screenplays for Indiana Jones films, but not the good ones.
Harsh.
Yeah, I'm throwing shade. Moving down to our cinematographer, we have Thomas Burston, who has 104 credits on his resume, mind you.
I mean, as you've noticed from doing the show, a lot of cinematographers, once they are established as good, they just work and work and work.
So he gets his start in 82 on SCTV Network. Heavenly Bodies in 84. He shoots Dark of the Night in 84. Native Son in 86. The Hitchhiker series in 86. Foxfire in 87. Liberace in 88. Nightwalk in 89. Booker, the TV series with Richard Grieco in 89.
Hell yeah.
Then he does The Perfect Tribute in 91, Toy Soldiers the same year, Silent Motive in 91, Criminal Behavior in 92, Empire City in 92. These are all direct-to-videos, 90s sleazy thrillers, by the way.
Hell yeah, my style.
Arctic Blue in 93. Then in 1995, he crafts to shoot the film The Surgeon.
I kind of love The Surgeon.
The Surgeon in 95, Crying Freeman in 95, Deadly Love 95, Dead Silence 97, City of Industry in 97. You ever seen City of Industry?
I have not.
So it's Harvey Keitel and Stephen Dorff in a 90s neo-noir where Dorff and Keitel and another person pull off a big heist, and Dorff decides to betray everyone at the last minute and shoots them, leaving everybody for dead. Keitel survives and goes after him. It's fun.
I think Dorff should have stuck to golf.
Yeah, I bet you should. I bet you would say that. Then he does Peter Benchley's Creature in 98. You ever seen that one with Craig T. Nelson?
No, but I've heard of it.
TV movie with Nelson in 98 where it's basically Jaws with legs. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Where the Money Is in 2000, Deadlocked 2000, Spooky House 2001, Lost Junction, Full Court Miracle, Going to the Mat, so he shoots Disney Channel in the early 2000s.
Okay.
4400 2004, 10-man miniseries in 07, Vipers in 08. Remember those Maneater series, those direct-to-videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, he shot Vipers.
Okay.
So he does Vipers in 2008, Riverworld, the Avatar ripoff in 2010, Fairly Legal 2011, Defiance, Descendants in 2015, the big Disney Channel movie series right now with the Disney Villains kids.
Okay.
Yeah. Hell on Wheels in 2014, Ghost Wars 2017, The Magician series in 2020, Snowpiercer series in 2020, and then most recently completed the Cowboy Bebop Netflix series in 2021, and an Amish Sin in 2022.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not either, but it looked interesting.
Okay.
So moving down to our synopsis, we have a group of troublemaking boys decide to take a stand when terrorists seize control of their boarding school.
I mean, that's the meat and the potatoes right there.
My synopsis: when a group of terrorists take over their boarding school, 4 young boys decide to fight back to save the lives of their classmates.
That works too.
Yeah. So moving down to our cast, we have Sean Astin, who plays Billy Tepper in the film. 184 credits from Astin, by the way.
Wow.
Voice work. He is fucking killing it.
I believe that absolutely.
So he gets his start in 1981. I hate to laugh at this title, but Please Don't Hit Me, Mom in 1981.
All right.
Rules of Marriage in 82, The Goonies in 85, then he does The Goonies Are Good Enough video in 85, the same year, obviously. Whitewater Summer in 87, Like Father, Like Son in 87, War of the Roses 89, Memphis Belle in 1990, The Willies in 1990.
These stories might give you the willies.
You know that's never made it off DVD?
Really?
Yeah, it's stuck on, goddamn, what is that company that put it out? They're a rare one, but I found that DVD at Kmart after a screening of what was the last movie at Inglewood? Alone in the
Ghost House. Yeah.
Yep. I went to Kmart when it was still around at that point and got my copy of The Willies that same night.
Well, hell yeah.
Toy Soldiers in 91, Where the Day Takes You in 92, Encino Man 92, Rudy in 93, Teresa's Tattoo. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good movie. That's in 94. Courage Under Fire in 96. Perversions of Science in 97, which he also directs an episode for.
Really?
Yeah, and had his buddy Will Wheaton in.
We need to watch. I've watched all of them.
You have all of it?
Of course.
Yeah, I figured you did.
They're not great quality, but I have them all.
Bulworth in 98, Boy Meets Girl in 98, Icebreaker 2000, Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring, Kingdom Hearts 2002, Lord of the Rings Two Towers 2002, Lord of the Rings Return of the King in 2003, 51st Dates 04, Las Vegas in 04, Slipstream 05, 24 in 06, Click in 2006. He also goes to star in Monk. Most recently, well, not recently, but most memorable, he was on Stranger Things in the 2nd season, I want to say.
Yeah, he was a heartbreaking character. Really great one.
Yeah, he was. Moving on down our cast list, we have Andrew Divoff, who plays Luis Callie in this. 114 credits on his resume. Not
surprised at all. He is one of those character actors that really inhabits whatever role you put him in.
Yeah, absolutely. So he does Stranger's Kiss in 83 to get his start, The Twilight Zone in 85, Neon Maniacs in 86, which I do not remember him in.
I don't remember him in that either.
The A-Team in 86, MacGyver, Mac and Me, 30-something, Fearstalk, The Hunt for Red October in 1990, By Dawn's Early Light in 90, Another 48 Hours in 1990, Graveyard Shift in 90, then he does Toy Soldiers in 91, Interceptor in 92, Extreme Justice in 93.
Yeah! Extreme Justice, baby!
The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. in 93. Dangerous Touch in 94.
Oh, yeah, he is. Man, he is in everything in the 90s.
Hong Kong 97 and 94. A Lowdown Dirty Shame in 94. Extra 3 Watch the Skies in 95. For Which He Stands 96. Highlander series in 96. Nemesis 4, Death Angel in 96. Blast in 97. You remember that movie we watched that one night with Rutger Hauer as that terrorist and they take that pool team hostage?
Oh my God, I like that movie.
Blast in 97, Air Force One in 97, Wishmaster in 97.
And that is what kind of cemented him as a known actor to the fandoms.
Yeah.
Was him playing Wishmaster.
Wishes. Crossfire in 98, Martial Law in 98, Killers in the House in 98, Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies in 99, Lockdown 2000, Faust in 2000, Nash Bridges, Walker Texas Ranger, Blue Hill Avenue, Dracula, Jag, Alias, the list goes on and on. Still acting today, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Wrapping us up on our cast, we have Louis Gossett Jr., who plays Dean Parker in this. 201 credits on his resume.
That doesn't surprise me at all. He was in everything.
He was in everything. Starting with The Big Story in 1957, he does Raisin in the Sun in 61, The Invaders, The Bill Cosby Show, The Landlord, The Partridge Family in 71, Skin Game, Mod Squad, The Laughing Policeman in 73, Sidekicks, no, not that Sidekicks in 74, The White Dawn, Black Bart, Good Times, The Jeffersons, $6 Million Man, JD's Revenge, does Roots in 77, The Deep, followed by The Choir Boys, An Officer and a Gentleman in 82, which he wins an Academy Award for.
Damn. What a career already.
Follows up Officer and a Gentleman with Jaws 3D in 83.
You're goddamn right he did.
Then he does The Guardian in 84, Enemy Mine in 85.
Which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah, he's great in it. Iron Eagle in 86, Firewalker 86, The Principal in 87, Iron Eagle 2 in 88, The Punisher in 89 with Lundgren.
You know what my favorite Iron Eagle ripoff is?
Which one? Air America?
No, Steel Sharks.
Oh, Steel Sharks.
Because it's literally the same title concept, but it's a submarine movie.
Yep. I do remember. Oh, man. I need to watch that. It's been a while.
Steel Sharks, baby.
El Diablo in 1990, Cover Up 91, Toy Soldiers in 91, Aces, Iron Eagle 3 in 92, Digstown, Blue Chips, Flashfire, Touched by an Angel, Early Edition, Legend of the Mummy, Hercules, Strange Justice, The Highwayman, The Dead Zone, Jasper, Texas. He was acting up until his death, which unfortunately was this year, but he was actually credited in the movie If, that Ryan Reynolds movie that just came out.
Wow.
That's his last movie credit. So he was acting up until his death, which was March 29th of 2024. He died of COPD. He had a chronic
breathing issues. Yeah. Well, how old was he?
Man, I forgot.
I can check for you.
I think he was 80-something.
Yeah, he was up there. I mean, he was not a young pup anymore. I mean, his first credit was like, what, 57? 1957?
Yeah. He died at age 87.
Wow. What a career.
I mean, we salute you, Louis Gossett Jr. You will be missed, an incredible filmography, and we will miss you.
Yeah. No, for real.
So wrapping us up as we move into the film itself, Toy Soldiers is currently available on Tubi, so you can watch it as you are hearing this. You can also get an awesome Blu-ray from Sony, and you can also rent and buy it wherever you get your videos at.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen this film, you have no excuse.
Yeah.
You can watch it for free on Tubi, and you will not regret it. This is one of, if I dare say, the finest of the Die Hard ripoffs.
It absolutely is.
I mean, I don't know what more to say in that space. It is the Die Hard ripoff was a truly joyous art form of the 1990s. I have heard from friends who were directing and writing films in Hollywood in the 1990s that the Die Hard ripoffs were so popular, people would pitch them all day long.
Yeah.
And they would literally just say, like, it's Die Hard in a prison.
Yeah.
It's Die Hard in a library. It's Die Hard in a
office
airplane.
Building.
Well, no, that's the thing he said, though. He said that around 1996, he actually heard someone pitch Die Hard, but in an office building. And he was like, well, we've come full circle, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah, so I love a good Die Hard knockoff. I mean, what can be more fun than terrorists take over a place and now it's up to 1 or 2 or 5 unlikely heroes to save the day.
It is a good time. So what was your first time watching Toy Soldiers?
So I first saw this when I was probably 21 or 22.
Okay.
I had checked it out because, get this. Well, first of all, it is not Small Soldiers.
Yeah, we need to be clear about that.
Not the same film or the Toy Soldiers from the 80s.
No.
This is Toy Soldiers from 1991. So when I was a little boy, I used to spend time at my Aunt Betty's, and they had one of these little VHS rack things.
Yeah.
And in it, I saw many movies, some very strange, because my Aunt Betty and my Uncle Charlie loved all kinds of movies.
Love that.
And I saw a box for Toy Soldiers. And I was always curious what it was. I never watched it as a kid, but I was always curious what it was because it said Toy Soldiers, but it looked deadly serious.
Yeah.
Like you'd look at the back and it was just like people like making faces that looked really upset and serious. And for years it stuck in my craw.
Yeah.
Until I decided to check it out when I was probably 21 or 20 or 23 or so, because I just moved back to Ohio.
Yeah.
So I watched it, but the weird thing is I must not have been paying very much attention because I remember watching it and going, hey, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. But then But then, my friend,
yes,
you insist we revisit it, to which I say, oh, hell yeah. But as we revisit it, and this would have been maybe 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, I got that Blu-ray for a birthday present off my wish list.
Yeah, so 5, 6, 7 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, when we rewatched it, I could not believe how great it was, how action-packed it was, how great the performances were. I adored the film.
Yeah.
So much so that if you listen to our episode or two back when we got recommended Toy Soldiers, we both went, oh!
We got very excited.
We love that film. So that is my memory. My favorite memory is rewatching it on my big projector screen and really experiencing
Taking
it and
in.
getting immersed in it and making up inside jokes about it.
Yes.
But what about you, Double D?
So I came to Toy Soldiers a little later. I was probably 13, 14-ish, I would say. And I was a big fan. I'm not anymore, but I was a big fan of the movie Masterminds.
But you're not now?
I mean, I haven't watched it in a while, and I don't know if it's going to hold up or not. It may come back at the end of the show. We'll see. But Masterminds, for those who aren't aware, is a movie that came out like 5 years after Toy Soldiers. That's essentially the same plot, except Patrick Stewart is, I think, the headmaster of the school.
Yeah.
And
wait. No, he's the villain.
He is the villain.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember if he was already. But anyway, he ends up taking over school. A kid fights back against him. It's really less higher stakes than Toy Soldiers.
It's a lot like Toy Soldiers now that I think about it. Because Patrick Stewart's not only like taking everyone hostage, but he's very much like how Divoff plays his character. And this movie, very proper, very honest, but still a hardened criminal killer. But Masterminds
has go-karts that Toy Soldiers does not.
It does not have go-karts. And Masterminds is in some ways more dated than Toy Soldiers.
Absolutely.
And Toy Soldiers is 90s as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But Masterminds, I mean, it's like a lot of computer stuff from that era.
And it doesn't have a body count, if I remember correctly.
No.
So I loved Masterminds, and I was like, oh my God, this movie looks just like Masterminds. And then I think when I first watched it, it was initially the takeover of the school scene. So I had no idea what I was getting into. Watched it on TV until the end of it and immediately loved it. But then just like you, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then years of working at FYE, I was one that I would stock. We would stock regularly, but I never bought it. And then when that Blu-ray came out, I was like, oh shit, I got to watch this again. So yeah, rediscovering it with you made me love it even more. But I've always been a fan of the movie just because of how insane it gets, but also how much fun it is.
I mean, I would have to agree.
Yeah. So you ready to get into it?
What the hell? Let's do it. Fuck it, here it goes.
So we open with a shot as we find out that we are in Colombia, and we see that there is a courtroom that is being taken over by terrorists. And we see a media frenzy. We hear gunshots. We see people screaming in the streets. And we cut into the courtroom as we meet Louis Gossett, played by the great Andrew Divoff. And he has taken the judge and the rest of the courtroom hostage because his father has been arrested on American soil, and he wants him free.
And, well, he's being extradited to America.
Yeah, to America.
And we're in Colombia.
Yeah.
So, which you spelled wrong.
Yeah, I know.
He spelled it the American Columbia way, not Colombia.
Well, my computer might have autocorrected it too. That's my story, and I'm fucking sticking to it.
I mean, fair enough, but no, we have a definite taste of that 1990s post Pablo Escobar era of terrorism in South America.
Yeah.
And I got to say it, and I've said it before, Divoff, he speaks Spanish beautifully.
He does.
And he does Hispanic characters very, very well.
Yeah.
And he does them a lot. I don't know his background. I don't know if maybe he is Hispanic. I mean, Divoff is obviously not a Hispanic last name, but his mother could have been Hispanic, or if he's just extremely well educated in Spanish, but he gets cast as Hispanic people a lot in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And he kills it. He really kills it.
Does he play Hispanic in Extreme Justice?
I'm almost certain.
I thought he did. Yeah, I couldn't remember.
But he's not quite so like thick accented.
No.
Because he's supposed to be Chicano. He's supposed to be in Los Angeles.
So he has taken the courtroom hostage. He wants his father to be free. The judge is like, we can't do it. And he decides to demonstrate how serious he is by having one woman thrown out of the second floor of the courtroom onto the ground below.
And we see her splat.
We see her splat, and we see the aftermath of the splat. So
this is not a light romp.
No, this is not.
A intensely violent and fun, but very violent It's that era of the 90s where it's just squibs out the butt, which is gunshots for the uninitiated. People getting hit with bullets. It's just a wild time.
So we see the police show up, so they decide that they're going to escape. He takes the judge hostage with him as they go into his helicopter, and as the helicopter lifts off the ground, he tells the judge that he doesn't need him anymore as we watch the judge fall to the ground, and then we cut to the opening credits of Toy Soldiers.
Goddamn right we do.
So we are at the Regis boarding school where we meet Billy Pepper, who is defacing the school sign because the Regis School sign now reads as the Rejects School.
Which we start to realize is pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate indeed, because we find out the boys' boarding school is boys that have been kicked out of their schools all across the country.
Well, about half of their students.
Yeah, half the students,
were kicked out of most other boarding schools.
Yeah. So that's when we also meet Dean Parker, who is played by Louis Gossett Jr., and he gets a hold of Billy because he is summoned to, they are summoned to one of their friends' room, which is Phil, and we find out that Phil has 2 federal agents waiting for him, along with Dean, who tells him that they are putting him into protective custody because his father is the judge that is presiding over Enrique's case.
Yes, and not my case.
No.
No, Divoff's character's father is Enrique.
Yeah, who is
with
a drug
no
dealer.
H, no silent H to confuse you.
No. So he is residing over the case, so they're going to put Phil into protective custody. While this is going on, we also see that Billy is on top of one of his friend's shoulders as they're peeking in. Dean comes out, and he's like, well, if you boys want to hear this, you better hear this, and also you can go help your friend Pack. And that's when we see that Phil is leaving the school. So they have gotten Phil and his family out of the country into protective custody.
That makes sense. I mean, these are dangerous people.
Yeah, very dangerous people. So later that night, Billy, Joey, and a few of the boys sneak down to the basement as Billy unveils that he has what would you call it, like a makeshift phone? Or
well, no, it's a tap phone.
Tap phone, yeah.
So it's a telephone handset that you basically wire yourself into a line and then you can dial. So he's basically hacking the phone lines of the school.
That he is, and if that wasn't bad enough, he also demonstrates to the boys that he has a really cool version of mouthwash that is actually not mouthwash. It's vodka, peppermint schnapps, and creme de menthe to give it the mouthwash flavor.
And the color.
And color, yes.
Yeah, and he says that when they taste it, like, this is mouthwash, you lied. He's like, no, I mixed it perfectly so it looks, smells, and tastes like mouthwash. Of course, my response was, then why not just drink mouthwash? I think in 1991, the mouthwash had alcohol.
Still had alcohol, yeah.
Granted, I'm sure that's not very good for you, but neither is 100 proof vodka.
No.
So whatever.
And this is not the only bottle he has. He has also passed out 8 bottles across the school. Sold, yes. Excuse me, not passed.
He's not Johnny Booze Seed running around handing them off.
So that is when the boys decide to use the phone to call a sex hotline, and they get the woman on the phone, and she is going to town with them, and that's when we also cut to Dean Parker's office, where he notices that one of the school's lines is active. So he hits it, and here's the conversation.
It's so funny.
It's so good. So he immediately goes down to bust the boys in the basement, focusing on Billy as the rest of the boys spread out and hide in the basement. And that's when he threatens that he will send a guard down here to stand watch. He will have them expelled. So they all come out. He sends them off to his room, keeping Billy into the basement. And that's when he tells Billy to destroy his own phone and also ask him about the mouthwash. And that's when we see that Dean Parker then takes him across the school to collect the bottles. But Billy is pissed about this. He is humiliated.
Yeah. Basically, he has to go around to everyone he sold it to.
Yeah.
And they're basically given amnesty. They're told if you hand it over right this second,
4 seconds,
you're not
10
in trouble.
seconds, you're not in trouble.
Which also says a lot about Gossett Jr.'s character, because while he is mad that he broke the rules, he's most concerned about there being alcohol in the dorm.
Yeah.
So he's like, as long as I get it all back, none of those people will be in trouble, which is helping Astin's character.
Yeah.
Because nobody else getting in trouble means that Astin probably won't get beat up or bullied by his fellow students. So it shows a level of fairness and a level of legitimate care for even the troublemakers, which I think really plays up later on in the film.
Well, and Parker goes further with that, Louis Gossett Jr. does, because not only is he concerned about Billy, but like Billy is like, well, if this is what you're going to make me do, then just expel me. And he's like, do you want me to expel you? Like, where are you going to go? Who are you going to stay with? And that's when we get a taste that Billy's home life is not great.
No, he's been to 4 different schools in 4 years.
4 different years and kicked out of all of them.
Yeah.
So that is when we cut to a scene where we see a truck being pulled over by a border patrol as we see some migrants get off. But amongst the migrants are the terrorists. As they gun down the border patrol, they put the bodies into their car, douse it with gasoline, put a bomb in it, drive away, and activate the bomb showing a very nice explosion.
There are this movie has its fair share.
Fair amount
of
indeed.
excellent explosions.
So that's when Parker walks Billy back into the school and he tells him that, we're going to collect these. And that's when Billy is like, how about I collect them? And he's like, you have 10 minutes, bring me the 8 bottles. And Billy does exactly that. And that's when we also get a great scene between the two of them where he tells him, I don't want to kick you out. You have a lot of greatness in you, basically. And I see that you could do this. Work with me on this, please.
Yeah, you're a smart kid.
Yeah.
But you're trouble. And why are you trouble? We need to fix that.
So that's when we see them kind of come to an agreement, except Billy returns to the dorm and he is telling his buddies that he has dish duty now for several weeks. And that
Pots and pans,
excuse me, yes. Pots and pans, and they have got to get him back.
Yeah.
And that's when we also meet the rest of his friends, which includes Joey, played by Will Wheaton. We also have Keith Coogan, who plays Snuffy. And none of the guys really want to be in on this plan. In fact, Joey wants to get back to bed and sleep. And that's when he's like, all right, I'm in. What are we going to do? And he's like, you want to do the fire hose? You want to put cherry bombs in the toilet? And he's like, no, wait. I've got a better idea. As we cut to the next morning, we see Dean Parker getting ready for his day as a student comes in and says his attention is needed in the courtyard. As we go out to find that they have moved all of the headmaster's office furniture and supplies into the courtyard and set them up perfectly as when he went to bed last night.
Yeah, it looks exactly like he's in the inside of his office, except it's in the front courtyard of the school. Solid prank.
And we see that the headmaster, who is played by the great Denholm Elliott, he is like, don't laugh. Like, don't let them see you laugh. And he's like, but I will say this is pretty funny. And, I would like to enjoy my day out here, but I think that wouldn't be good for the punishment. So that's when Barker is quick to point out, because the headmaster's like, do you have any idea who might have done this? He's like, I've got a few ideas. And he points out the boys, and that's when they also are put back into, I don't know if they're put back to dish duty with him, or is it just him?
I feel like it was just him.
Yeah, just him, but they have to put the office back to where it goes. So that's when we also see that Parker is leaving campus for the day as he loads his car up with Billy's mouthwash. He leaves campus, and we see that we are now in the cafeteria with all the boys and the staff getting their lunch. Outside, we see a cleaner truck along with another car drive onto the premises, and that's when we see that it is the terrorists. They quickly gun down the guard who goes to reach for his gun at the shack. And that's when inside the cafeteria, they start to hear shots of the gunfire. And outside, we also see that they are starting to surround the campus. As they move into the cafeteria, we meet Jack, who is one of the terrorists, who shoots his gun into the air, alerting everybody as they drop to the ground. And that's when we see that they are going to work at the school, setting up machine gun turrets. They're setting up bombs all throughout the school, putting guards everywhere. Shit gets real quick.
Yeah, they are highly organized and highly motivated.
And we get that point because we see one of the kids go to run for the phone. They shoot the phone, missing the kid.
Just barely.
But then they also execute the chemistry teacher right in front of the kid.
Whoops.
So that is when Luis comes into the cafeteria, and he gathers everyone in, and he goes to the headmaster's office because they find out that Phil and his family have left the premises. The kid that they came there for, because obviously they're going to go after the guy that has the judge on his dad's case.
Yeah, no.
So with Phil gone, he doesn't know what he's going to do. That's when Jack decides to bring him 5 files of the kids in the school, pointing out who their parents are, one of which is a chairman of a bank and the vice chair of the Republican Party, chairman of armed services, and Joey's father, who may or may not have mob influence.
May or may not.
May or may not. So Louise goes in front of the school, and tells them, that you all are hostage at this point. Nothing is going to go wrong as long as you all follow the rules. There's going to be a head count every day on the hour at the hour. And if any of you try to escape, not only will I kill you, but I'm going to kill somebody else. Basically, all that who escape or are not found, the number is doubled on who he's going to send.
So if they do the count, and for every one person missing, they will kill 5 people, and it will double and double and double.
Yeah.
So if 3 people are gone, 15 people die.
Yes. So that is when he starts interviewing the kids, asking them who their parents are. He even goes up to Joey, and he's like, is your father this? And he's like, do you respect your father? And he's like, I'm not a big fan of my father. So Joey right off the bat does not like.
Yeah, it's very, very clear. He does not mince words.
So he also tests one of the kids Spanish because he is asking who his father is, and he's like, do you speak Spanish? And he's like, no. So
he says, not really.
Yeah. And Luis in Spanish orders one of his men to put a bolt in the kid, and that's when the kid's like, oh, wait.
No, that's one of my favorite moments in the beginning. Yeah, do you speak Spanish? Not really.
Yeah.
He turns and says, put a bullet in this kid. And he's like, oh, no. Okay, I speak a bit.
So for his penalty, he is bashed in the knees with one of the butts of his gun, and that's when Billy tries to step in, but he's thrown back by Luis, who warns him not to fuck up again or he'll kill him.
I mean, That's a fair point.
Yeah. So Parker is in town with the sheriff going over the bottles of mouthwash when he gets news of the situation at the school. They both race to the school, and that's when the Kings County Sheriff gets on a loudspeaker telling them that he wants to come up and talk, and he is unarmed, which is not true because you can clearly see a shotgun in his car.
Well, he's not carrying it.
Yeah. But the terrorists aren't having that because as soon as that car approaches, they start lighting it up with machine gun fire and then move on to the anti-aircraft, which blows the fucking car up as the sheriff gets away, though.
Yeah, it's basically a bazooka.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they have 50 caliber machine guns mounted on either side
bell
of
tower,
the
roof.
Yeah. Which basically makes the place impenetrable without a lot of planning.
So we get another explosion as the sheriff's car goes up, and that's when we see that the state police, the FBI, and the U.S. Army are brought in due to the size of the school and this threat. We meet General Kramer, who is played by the great Arlie Ermy, and he tells them that they cannot go into military action without authorization of the president, so they are going to try to make a deal as best as they can.
I gotta say, how could you not have Arlie Ermy in a 1991 film, right?
Hell yeah.
So yeah, the moment the military show up, you get Arlie Ermy, baby.
So in the school, Billy is doing his pots and pans duty, but one of the terrorists summons them all to the cafeteria. That's when Divoff once again goes over the head count. He goes over the missing rules, so I said that a little early. But he also adds that they are not to mess with the explosives because they will explode.
Yeah, I love when he yells it and they all jump.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So he also tells, Jack also tells him that they have a head count of 92. So every time that they're going to count, 92 have to be there or we have problems.
Big problems.
So the boys are rounded up. They're put into dorm rooms, which are not their own. The boys are rounded up and go into one kid who is known as Yogurt, and that's when Scruffy tells him that it's a nice room as they take it over. Billy also notices that Yogurt has a remote control airplane, and he asks him, about the chips and everything, and he asks him, in regards to a device that Luis carries on his wrist, which will activate the bomb, does he believe that he can do it? And the kid's like, oh, yeah. No, he absolutely can.
It looks like a garage door opener, as they mentioned.
Yeah.
But it is literally a device that in moments' time, he could press a button and blow up the entire school. Similar to a kill switch to protect himself. He has access to it immediately. And Astin's character is immediately like, well, you know about radio-controlled things, so what can we do about it?
Yeah. And also, we forgot to mention that Luis obviously has taken the school hostage because he wants his father released. So that is his terms that he wants to be met. And now he has all these high-power parents of these kids that he's going to try to basically leverage with.
Well, and that's smart because since those kids have powerful parents, it's going to encourage the government. They're going to start lobbying the government to give him what he wants so they can get their kids back. That's smart. Yeah. That's a lot more leverage than just innocent lives when you have rich and powerful people breathing down your neck as well.
So outside, Parker, along with General Kramer and others, are hearing from the headmaster who's telling him about the explosives and the remote control. Luis reiterates the severity of it. He gets on and he's like, just want you to know that I can fucking blow us all up at any time.
I mean, he can.
So that's when he also says that he will release the faculty, but he's going to keep the cooks and who's the other one? The cooks, the headmaster, and somebody else. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
So he releases the faculty, but the boys are going to be kept until the demands are met to the release of his father.
Oh, yeah, he releases the faculty, but not the poor cafeteria workers.
Yeah, the cafeteria workers have to stay. So later that night, Billy gets up to find that Joey's awake because we see that lights are shining into the building from the other side, and Billy questions if anyone knows Morse code because then they could probably communicate to them. They have to do something no matter what.
They got to do something, man.
So Joey pops his head outside. He sees an armed guard who orders him back into the room, and that's when he says that they should get the guard to come into the room, jump him, and steal his machine gun and start blasting. And that's when Snuffy makes the comment. He's like, oh, yeah, so, all you with your mafia ties know about machine guns.
All you mobsters are all about the machine guns.
Which pisses Joey off. He wants no mob affiliation, so they get into a bit of a squabble, and that's when I have one of my favorite lines, which is Snuffy goes, hey, man, you're my friend. I can call you a fucking wop if I want to.
Ba-da-da-da.
That patches things up with the guys, so they're all good at that point. And that's when they decide that they do have to figure out what their plan's going to be, and that's when Billy proposes that they get information to the outside, and everybody agrees to help him do it.
Yeah. No, and this is one of my favorite moments of ingenuity.
Yeah.
Because they figure out that they can signal using a mirror
mirror
to shine back the spotlight that they're running across the school all night.
Yeah. So the next morning, we see it's a media frenzy outside the gates, and we also see a Black Hawk helicopter enter the airspace. The boys are outside trying to go about their normal routines while armed men watch over them. And that is when we also see that Billy is wandering the campus grounds, taking notes from the students of what they have in regards of weapons, men, and where they're posted at.
Which is brilliant,
yes,
because that is such a massive advantage. It's like Die Hard, how he starts marking down every person he sees so that he can communicate to the cops how many people are in the building, what kind of guns they have,
their names,
which is a big one too. And that's the number one way you could help them in this siege scenario, is for them to know how many men there are so that they can kind of come up with a counter plan. I love how quickly these kids go into this
action.
And I love the idea that I don't know if we got to if we've passed that scene yet, but Louis Gossett Jr. mentions to the military people in the FBI who are figuring everything out. He's like, well, I'm worried about this kid because he's so anti-authority.
Yeah.
But that makes it even funnier because it kind of suggests that Sean Astin's character is not just fighting these guys because they're terrorists and bad. He's fighting them because he fucking hates being told when to go to bed and when to brush his teeth. So shut the fuck up. I love that so much.
We also get a really cool scene with Denholm Elliott's character because naturally, you got these kids surrounded by terrorists at the school trying to go about their day. And Denholm Elliott is in the courtyard with them, like trying to do a lecture over a book. And all the kids are looking around scared.
Oh yeah, they're terrified.
And he's like, hey, look here. Like, they'll be gone one day. This book will still be here.
I like the idea that a lifelong educator tries to educate his way through this situation.
Yeah.
No, it's because it's like, what else would you do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, kids, gather around, watch me cry.
Yeah.
Don't look away.
So we also see that Joey, who is a really good sketch artist, is sketching pictures of Luis, his people. They've marked spots in the yearbook where the turrets are and everything. So they're mapping out everything to pass off to the other side.
I love the reconnaissance.
Yeah. So that's when we see that Parker and the FBI are holding a conference with the parents of the kids who are obviously upset because they're like, what are you guys doing? Like, how do I get my kids out of there? And that's when Parker tries to urge them to let the experts handle this. But we also find out that Joey's dad is also attending this press conference, played by the great Jerry Orbach.
Joey's dad's got it going on. He's connected.
He's connected.
He's connected.
Oh, boy, is he connected. So Albert Trotta of the New Jersey mob is in attendance at this meeting, and we see that he is looking over this, and he's definitely thinking of something, too.
Yeah, he's got some thoughts on the whole matter.
So we see Jack is doing a head count. He confirms 92 students, and we watch them get released as Luis watches a press conference on TV. Billy intercepts food that's going to the guard tower, spitting in their sandwiches, but he also gets a look at the firepower then as he goes up to the guard tower.
Spitting in their sandwiches was just a bonus.
Yeah, that was just a bonus.
He really just wanted to scope them out so he could observe what guns they have, what kind of ammunition they have, and how many of them there are, which again, reconnaissance, so important. Intelligence is everything in a situation like this. I love it.
Yeah. So we see Joey and Snuffy marking spots in the yearbook of where the guards are, plus who is taking control of them. We also see, like I said, Joey's made sketches of them, and Joey's father has a meeting with his lawyer to exchange his son because he actually knows Luis.
Yeah, he's aware of that family. It's almost like crooks know about other crooks.
Yeah. So that's when he makes the deal with his lawyer that he wants his son to be released and that he's going to work with Luis to do so. And we see that Joey's father is really adamant that he wants his son to be released, even though he knows his son hates him. Like, he knows his son does not love him.
He sends him a coded message.
Yeah.
Well, he gives the lawyer a coded message, which is just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
They broadcast the numbers to the crooks, the terrorists, rather. They broadcast it.
You're ahead of yourself. He gives that to Enrique.
Oh, so no. Enrique writes it down.
It writes it down, and then that's how it gets to Luis.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
No, they broadcast to the terrorist that number.
Yeah.
And that signals Luis for what he should do.
For what he should do, indeed.
Which is stay friendly with the New Jersey Mafia.
And we also see the boys are trying to create a distraction by kicking a ball through a window while Billy breaks a window. He sneaks through the basement, out the front of the school, and Yogurt gets his remote control plane in flight, drawing the attention of everyone around, including Luis and his guys, which causes the roof guys to look ahead so Billy can slip away out the front without being seen.
It is very, very scary.
Yeah, so
this movie has great suspense.
Tension moments.
So basically, he has to run out there, across a field when they're not looking until he can get to brush. He gets to a big drainage sewer.
Yeah.
He already has wire clippers because he knows it's wired shut. He cuts it, goes through there, and as he's about to head further out, he gets stopped by snipers.
He gets intercepted.
Who are in ghillie suits.
Yeah.
They're all in camouflage, and he tries to give them the information, knowing that he has only so much time to get back so that he can make the count so that he doesn't cause 5 students to die.
Yeah.
They won't let him go.
No, they will not.
Oh, it's so freaking tense.
So they get the plane, the remote control plane is grabbed and taken to the headmaster's office, which was part of the plan. We'll find out later. But also we see that Nuffy goes up to the roof to give the guys coffee, the snipers on the roof coffee, but he also lights a cigarette, puts it in a matchbook, and puts it by a smoke detector so the roof guys will leave as the smoke detector goes off, distracting them.
They're creating so many distractions.
To try and get him back. So that's when he reaches the other side, Billy is, like I said, brought in, and that's when they contact Parker, and he's like, do you have this kid? And he's like, oh yeah, I know him. And that's when Kramer's like, okay, well, take this helicopter, go meet him, and bring him here then so we can talk to him.
Yeah.
So that's when he goes to meet him, and Billy's like, I can't stay. I've got to get back for this head count. And the Army's like, no, we got to keep you. Billy says, fuck that, steals an Army Jeep, and just takes right back off towards his location.
What a scene. He steals a Humvee Jeep.
Yeah.
And just books it back to the school as they're chasing behind him in their Humvee Jeeps. I was not expecting a military vehicle chase.
No.
But I sure do love checking it off on the bingo card.
It is so good. So he's got them in hot pursuit. He finally gets to where he needs to be. He secretly leaps out of the Jeep as they get on him. The Jeep's pulling back because he's abandoned it, so it goes into the drink. He makes it to the other side right on time for these helicopters to show up, which distracts the guys from the roof, so he can run back into the building, makes it just by the hair on his head, but he also is wet now, so he has to be convinced of what he was doing. So he fakes that he was in the shower. Luis, at this point, has had the count done like 3 times, and he's getting ready to kill somebody, and that's when he exits in, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I was in the shower, I didn't hear anything.
Which is a brilliant move. Not just because, even if he hadn't gotten wet from the running, it was a brilliant move because he comes out wearing a towel, so it looks like he's embarrassed.
Yep.
It looks like a legitimate mistake, and, of course, it saves the day. But
he gets a punishment for it.
Yeah, Luis takes him to the office and tells him, like, I went to a place like this in Pennsylvania. Maybe you've heard of it. And they taught me discipline in a way they don't teach anymore.
Yeah.
And then he proceeds to take a retractable pointer from the headmaster's desk and Passion of the Christ, that boy.
Man.
He whips him across his back, leaving bloody welts.
Bloody welts.
All
over him. At least like 3 or 4 of them, yeah.
Which, again, is another element of Luis's character that I think is so interesting because Luis is pleasant and polite until he knows he's all carrot until he knows he needs the stick, which honestly makes him scarier because you know that if he says, and then we'll kill all these kids if this doesn't happen, he means it.
Yeah.
Because everything he says and he plans on doing, even if he'd rather not,
he'll still do it.
Yeah, it's weird. He's like the most honorable thief, and it's terrifying.
Well, and I think that's why this is a good point in the episode for us to bring up. If you listened to last week's episode or the week before when we announced this, or Dan's letter came into us, we immediately made a joke about you kids. When we were watching it several years back, when I brought my Blu-ray over, we just started riffing about how it would be funny if, even though everything's still going the exact same way in the terrorist attack, and he's still being as brutal as he is, the kids just started pranking him, like tying his shoelaces together.
Mine was the bucket of it was the bucket of ping pong balls over his door, so it just falls across him. That's when he went, "You kids!"
So basically, just taking a very serious movie and running it through the mud,
and making it Porky's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where that inside joke comes from.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So that is when he flogs Billy at this point, and back at the tent, the men go over Billy's intel, and Parker tells him that they, that he trusts Billy. He goes to the defense of him, saying that if this is what the kid has brought him, and they have this plan to switch the chips, we should go with this. And that's when the state police, the FBI, ask General Kramer. They're like, "Well, can you guarantee 0 casualties if we do this?" And he's like, "Fuck no, I can't." And he's like, "All right, then we got to go with the deal as planned. We got to try to make a deal."
Did we mention what's up with the chips? Did we mention that specifically?
No, we didn't specifically.
So one of the plans is Yogurt, the kid who has the model plane he built, says that there's a chip, a transistor that's in the broadcaster on his wrist, And if they could replace it, they could make the button on his wrist turn the airplane on rather than blow everybody up.
Yeah.
Which is a brilliant move, except how do you get something off of his arm? But don't worry. These kids are clever.
We will get there. So we also should mention that since that plane has been seized, it is in the office. So that did happen when they sent the plane up. They did take it to the headmaster's office.
Yes, so it's already in there.
It is next to the bomb, so maybe that'll come later. We'll find out. So we cut to prison where we find Luis's father is being removed from his cell and meeting with the lawyer, the man that Joey's father met with, and he tells Henrique of the demand. So Henrique writes out a message to Luis. He receives the message, and we see Joey is summoned to the headmaster's office to talk to Luis, and that's when Joey is told that he's let it go. He just has to leave. There's nothing else to be said. He is free to go. Joey's like, well, why? And he's like, because I respect your father. This pisses Joey off.
Oh, he's livid. He's livid. And he says, I'm not going to go without my friends.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're going.
Yeah, because he
goes,
bad. Fuck you, fuck my father. I'm not leaving without my friends. And they're like, yeah, you are. So we see Joey being escorted down the hall by a gunman, except Joey decides to do what he said he was going to do. He goes for the gunman's gun, knocks him out, gets the gun, runs out onto the steps in front of his friends, and he starts trying to shoot one guy, except the gun is way too powerful for him.
Yeah,
as he fires it goes up.
Yep.
And that's when the gunman lights Joey up, killing Joey.
It's one of the gunmen outside who don't know who he is or what the deal was that they just made.
Yeah.
So just shoots Will Wheaton dead.
In front of everybody.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
So Joey falls to the ground, and that's when Luis hears the gunfire. He runs out front, and he realizes what's going on and how fucked he is right now.
The look on his face is just, well, that's going to be a problem.
So next, Parker and a couple paramedics come to collect the body, and that's when, he tells Parker, he's like, I want you to tell them clearly that this was not meant to happen. The kid was an accident. Released.
Yeah, we were releasing him and this happened. I love that too, because all I could think when we were watching is like, we'll be sure to let him know what you want after you just murdered a child.
I mean,
we'll
could have done a nice edible arrangement and sorry I murked your son.
It would have been nice.
Yes.
And a good one.
A good one.
Not the cheap one that's all pineapple that gets all slimy when it sits out in the air for a little while. You got to get a good edible
Pineapple just isn't a dead son gift. I feel like some melon, maybe some strawberries.
Strawberries or a berry assortment.
A berry assortment.
A mango.
A mango.
You have to have the mango. The mango, David.
So that is when the guys are completely distraught because not only are they taking care of the welts on Billy's back, but they've also watched their friend die, and now they're in their room at night and they're all just somber, looking through his sketches, looking through everything.
Well, especially Astin's character. Who is the motivator all this time. He now has no motivation.
Yeah.
He is basically given up.
Yeah.
But thank God for the power of friendship. Not even terrorism can defeat the power of friendship.
No, it cannot. So Parker also had warned Luis that even though this is an accident, they're going to find you. They're going to hunt you down. You cannot get away from this. And that's when we see Joey's father receive the news, and he wants to be clear with the message that there is no such thing as an accident.
Which is weird. I'm going to say the movie's relatively realistic, but in my experience reading books, watching movies and TV shows, mafiosos,
completely understandable.
Very forgiving.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very reasonable, forgiving, and good smelling.
They love it when you tell them to go fuck themselves when you're playing poker, especially.
Oh yeah. Or when you tell them to get their shine box.
Yes,
yeah.
So back in the dorm, the boys rally together. They're trying to get Billy to come back because he's broken down crying at this point, and that's when they decide that they've got to do something. Back in the prison, though, we see that there is a full-scale riot breaking out as Henrique is released from his cell, only to have one guy come up from behind him, slit his throat, throw him over the railing to the ground.
And that means I can finally not think you're saying my name.
This is true. Henrique has left the building.
No, I'm right here. No, it's not often we watch a movie where a character's named Henrique. So
back in the tent, General Kramer goes over the plans for them to send the men in because they now have the news that Henrique has been murdered, and they know that once this news gets to Luis, he is going to go full board, killing everybody in the school.
There's no reason. I mean, it's possible that he might pull the, okay, well now, if you don't give us safe passage out of here, we blow everybody up.
Yeah.
It's possible, but it's also possible he'll just go abort and kill everybody.
Goodbye.
It's a very, very delicate situation.
Yeah, so they have to send men in. So they question Parker again if Billy's information is right. and Parker once again stands by him, and they say they could just pull this off. That's when the boys in the dorm room notice the signal. Hank replies back with the mirror against Billy's wishes as he rushes over, and Hank tells him it's too late to back out now. They're all in this together, and he's like, why are you guys doing this? And they're like, we don't have to tell you. You know why. Great fucking line.
Really good.
Great line. So the next morning, Luis wakes up to find the power has been cut because obviously they don't want him to see the TV.
No, they don't want him to get TV or radio or anything.
Yeah. So he calls them and warns them to have the power restored in 1 hour before he will start killing hostages.
Every 15 minutes.
Yeah. In the cafeteria, Billy gathers up a couple boys to go to the boys' room so he can slip into the air shaft and go up through into the headmaster's office. So he has one kid stand by the sink.
Because they altered their plan.
Yeah.
They figured out, what if we switch the chip on the detonator, not on his wrist, which is brilliant.
Genius.
Really, really smart.
Yeah, so that's when he decides to go into the ventilation. He has one kid stand by the sink and run the water, and he's going to turn the water off if something is wrong. So Yogurt and Billy go into the shaft, and that's when they are going through the ventilation. We see Snuffy start to fake an asthma attack, which gets Denholm Elliott's attention, so he's faking a panic or a asthma attack. So everybody's freaking out in the cafeteria. Billy reaches the office with Yogurt behind him, and he is guided by him, swapping the chips, which is hilarious because he opens it up, and he's like, all right, now take the red one out and swap it with the other red one. He's like, there isn't a red one.
He's like, there has to be a red one.
No.
Well, there isn't. Sorry, there's not.
Big blue one. And he's like, all right, it's got to be that one. He's like, are you sure? He's like, I don't know, man. Just do it.
Well, and what I said when we were watching it, the moment they're climbing into the duct and Yogurt's all scared, my first thought is, well, if this doesn't go well, things won't be worse.
No, yeah.
Because you're already headed toward a fiery death.
Yeah.
So
that's when he makes the switch with them, and Yogurt tells we see that Snuffy is on the ground, and he's watching Luis's wrist, and the light goes out, so he fakes the asthma attack harder.
Yeah, he just amps up the distraction even more. Yeah.
So they swap the chips, and also at this point, too, Luis sends Jack back to his office to get the kid's file to see if he has asthma.
Yeah, which is smart because they're trying to, make sure that this isn't a distraction, which it totally is. And when he comes in, another great, there are so many great moments of suspense in this film. So as the guy is opening up the headmaster's office, he has to put the plane back and jump under the desk and hide and pray that it's not Luis, because if it's Luis, he might want to sit at his desk and he might discover he's got a foot warmer down there that he don't like so much.
Yeah, so Sean Astin's character dives over, goes under the desk. Jack grabs the file and leaves, so Billy then returns to the shaft, and that's when we see Parker also, who has been told to stay back with the army guys. He's like, you can't come with us, you got to stay back here. He's sitting right by the sewer grate, and he's like, fuck this. So he goes into the tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
So that is when we also cut to the roof as we see that the guards are now getting ready to be taken out by snipers as they go down 1-2, except one of the guys is still alive. We see the men sneaking across the side of the building trying to infiltrate, but one of the guys on the top of the roof has a grenade that falls, takes out all three of the guys except for one, which Parker catches up with, and that's the guy who told him to stay behind, and he bandages his leg.
Wouldn't you say that was quite the whoopsie-daisy?
I would say that is a whoopsie-daisy indeed. So that is when the grenade brings attention to Luis as the men are hit. Parker then sneaks up, finding 2 of the 3 dead. A terrorist then enters the bathroom as one of the boys who's by the sink leaves. Yogurt and Billy sneak back into the bathroom. As Yogurt comes down first, the gunman's right on him, and he says, go to the side here. As Billy comes down, he's pointing his gun on him. Right at this point, Derek enters the bathroom. The 3 of them squabble with the gunman, getting his gun, knocking him out. And now we are into the final stages of Toy Soldiers.
And they've got a gun, and they know that they can't blow the place up. So they're going to be bold now.
Yes. Yeah. So Billy in the kitchen knocks out another guard as we see Luis reach the bell tower in time to hear more helicopters moving in. Jack grabs a rocket launcher again, but he is quickly riddled with bullets and killed on top of the roof by one of the helicopters. Billy then returns to the cafeteria, leads all the rest of the remaining kids into the kitchen as he sneaks them down into the basement. We also see Billy cover the trapdoor again and also put some stuff on top of it to completely hide it. So that's when we also see more men dropping onto the school grounds. Luis finds the cafeteria empty and becomes full of rage. He enters the kitchen, initially doesn't see Billy because Billy's hiding behind the door, but then he slams the door right into Billy.
It's such a great fake out. You think he's going to leave, and then he uses the door to slam into Billy, and he tries to basically takes him hostage. Yeah.
So that's when Louise goes to push the device as the plane comes to life in the office because he's being ambushed by guys in the school now.
I love it when he presses the button.
The propeller starts spinning.
And it just flies up and hits the ceiling and falls down.
He's so fucking mad.
Such a great moment, except as he's running through and telling the cops to get back, the SWAT team to get back and everything, we realize there is one flaw in this plan.
Mm-hmm.
As he gets back to his office, he could detonate the bomb the old-fashioned way.
Pull the wires out.
By pulling the wires out.
Yeah.
And that's when things become very dire. But luckily, dear viewer, dear listener, we have Louis Gossett Jr.
scaling the fucking building.
God, it's so
scaling
good.
the side of the school.
So good.
So he reaches the top window where the headmaster's office is. Luis goes to pull the wire. Parker breaks the window, getting one shot off, but misses. Another army guy enters and kills Luis with a bullet right to the head. Parker.
And it is a graphic
shot.
It is worthy of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
he blows his brains out.
He absolutely does. So now Luis is taken out. Parker gets a shot near his heart, but it doesn't seem to be fatal. He says he's all right. So Billy grabs him and walks him out. Billy apologizes to him for being an asshole, and Parker tells him, "Congratulations, you came through, kid. Like, you should be proud." And he's like, "All right, so am I off pots and pans duty?" He's like, "No, you're not getting off that easy." So that's when he asks about, or that's when we see the boys out front are all panicking because they haven't seen Billy yet. They're seeing an ambulance come through. They go up to the ambulance. They don't see Billy inside. Suddenly, Billy comes running from the side of the school. They all go into each other and give a hug and start celebrating. The camera pulls out, and that's the end of 1991's Toy Soldiers.
So good.
So good.
This is a comfort action movie to me at this point.
Absolutely. So would you like to know some fun things about it?
Yes.
What do you think the budget was?
So part of me wants to say it's somewhat low, but it was a TriStar movie, I think. It was a TriStar movie. It was a theatrical release. It had a lot of big explosions, and action movies were hot.
Yeah.
So in 1991, 7 million?
10 million.
Okay.
Budget is 10 million.
Okay.
Opening weekend, which is April 28th of 91, it takes in $4,182,000. Then it ends up grossing $15 million worldwide.
So
not a big hit.
At best, a modest success. It probably got its real profits from home video and cable.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So it was shot in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the Miller School of Albemarle is located at, which is the school that uses Regis in this. Also, some shots were used in Montana and Texas as well. Specifically, I think Columbus San Antonio doubled as Columbia.
Oh, that would make sense, yeah.
The scene where Billy eats a banana and throws the peel in the trash is improvised, including Dean Parker's response, "Pick up that banana." Before the camera started rolling, Sean Astin asked a prop guy for a banana and then proceeded to eat it during the take, even adding a roll of the eyes when asked to pick up the peel. Aside from Louis Gossett Jr., actors' reactions were pretty much genuine.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Well, and that's such a great testament because obviously, even at this young age, I don't know how old Sean Astin was. He's probably like 18 or 19, maybe
probably
20. Even at that young age, he was a very talented actor.
Yeah, he
was. An extremely talented actor. And for him to throw a curveball, to feel comfortable enough.
Yeah.
To throw a curveball at Lou Gossett Jr., who is a master of the craft.
Yeah.
And knowing that Lou Gossett Jr.'s reaction will be to go right along with it makes my heart happy.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So the character Derek, played by actor Sean Phelan, goes by the nickname of Yogurt in the movie. This was a real-life nickname given to him by castmates. The story goes that all the young actors who played the main gang were in the back of the van traveling on the way to set began filming. As they were riding along, Phelan began eating a carton of yogurt, and the vehicle suddenly went over a big bump, which caused the yogurt to spill out all over the actor, covering him in yogurt. The other guys found it so funny that they called him Yogurt the rest of the shoot, which was then incorporated into the film.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that.
The movie Major Payne from 1995 was also filmed at the Miller School of Albemarle.
Oh, okay. I believe that. And another movie I enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah. Andrew Divoff has said that this role as Luis Cali is a favorite of his.
That's awesome to hear because he's great. He's excellent in the role.
According to Keith Coogan, he and Lou Gossett Jr. were cast first, which allowed Keith to be the one who read with all those who auditioned for the rest of the young cast. So he read with all the cast that came into audition.
Wow.
Which apparently was like Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, I think, what is his name? Blanking.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, yes, thank you. So the brick wall around the quad, which is actually known as the Bull Ring, was constructed for the film and was merely a brick facade on wood. At the end of the filming, students celebrated by tearing it down.
Nice. Mr. Gorbachev.
Tear down that. The boys who bought the adulterated mouthwash, Mr. Berg, Mr. Zarpus, Billy Zepper sold a bottle of mouthwash with vodka in it. You have 3 seconds to hand it over here. We're named after producers Mark Berg and Chris Zarpus.
Nice little inside joke.
There's a bit of foreshadowing early on in the movie when Dean is telling Billy that he got away with spray painting the sheriff's car this time. He then goes to say that he is always going to watch Billy. As the scene cuts away, it pans right, and you see the walls of the windows are the same location where the climactic scene that the Dean will later watch over takes place.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Composer Robert Folk said he was told the film editor of Toy Soldiers, Michael Kahn, who is best known as Steven Spielberg's film editor, screened the film for Spielberg's composer John Williams, since Kahn apparently wanted Williams to score it. However, Williams was unable to because of other commitments.
It wasn't because he saw Will Wheaton machine gun down and went,
I'm good.
I think I'll stick with the wholesome stuff. And then it was like, okay, anyway, Schindler's List. No.
And in the book, Joey is shot by a terrorist instead of Joey going outside and being shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've got to find that book. It's going to be expensive.
You know what? Remind me when the show's over, and I'll just see if I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but let me see.
So what are your final thoughts, Enrique, on 1991's Toy Soldiers?
I love this movie. It's so goddamn fun.
Yeah.
It's outrageous in the best possible way. It is the purest form of the 90s action movie cycle of the big explosions, wild villains, and tons of bullet hits and squibs. I gotta call it a rent it.
Okay.
I think it's worth money to see. But if you are, for whatever reason, one of those people out there who considers yourself an action movie aficionado, you're one of those people who just loves has all the diehards, has Commando, has all these, and you just love that 90s action aesthetic, then you should own it, because it don't get much better than this.
It does not.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, it is. It's an absolute buy it for me. This is one of those movies that is the quintessential 90s actioner that I feel is pretty underrated still to this day. And it is a movie that needs to be seen by many more, because there's so much fun in this. There's a lot of great comedic bits, but the action is just fucking wall to wall.
Yeah.
It does not stop. So it is a buy it, absolutely. I cannot recommend Toy Soldiers enough.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
And speaking of recommendations, we always like to end the show with a couple. This week, I'm going to start with 1987's The Principal. A teacher is assigned to be the principal of a violent crime-ridden high school. This film stars Jim Belushi as well as Louis Gossett Jr. and is another underrated school actioner that I think is a lot of fun.
I do love that movie.
And then 1997's Masterminds.
You would have to.
Trapped in a school in which a gang of criminals has seized control, a young troublemaker fights a cat-and-mouse battle from the inside. So I did watch an interview with Keith Coogan talking about this movie that you can find on YouTube. And he does mention Masterminds and basically how they all saw it as a ripoff of Toy Soldiers when it came out.
No cap.
No cap.
Okay.
What's your recommendation?
Oh, well, I've got one, and you've got to know what it is.
Know what it is.
This is a rarity. I don't even know if you could find it anywhere, but it is 1995's Playing Dangerous. And what is Playing Dangerous, you ask? Well, it's a very unknown action movie. It's bizarre.
Very bizarre.
It was made in 1995. It stars Mikey LeBeau, who went on to be in Blank Check, I believe, and a few other great kids movies. But this is not a kids movie. The description on IMDb is: a young scientific whiz virtually single-handedly defeats corporate mercenaries who take his family hostage to get a blueprint for a top-secret, super-fast computer chip. That does not sell it enough.
Does not. You watch this kid murk people.
Yeah, Mikey LeBeau in this film, a little boy, like 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy, murders these terrorists. He sets traps for them that cause them to choke to death, that sets them on fire.
Yeah.
I caught this movie on cable as a young kid. The scariest part is he cries.
Yeah.
Like, he kills them and he realizes
affected.
what he did.
He's affected.
He cries, and then he just kind of pulls it together. But in his defense, he's not just a sociopath. He sneaks around and flat out hears the terrorists say
they're going to kill his family.
They're going to kill his entire family as soon as they get what they want.
Well, we should also mention that the way that the terrorists are introduced into the family, at least, is they take the house, the maid hostage.
Yeah.
And then we just hear gunshots.
Yeah, they just kill her.
Yeah.
They're cold-blooded killers for sure.
Yeah.
And thank goodness Mikey LeBeau is basically right on top of it. And one of my favorite things about this film is the way it was marketed.
God.
So it took me, do you know how I found Playing Dangerous?
So I remember you talking about it at one of the Independent Shadow Cinema events. So you hadn't found it at that point. You were still looking for it.
Well, I had to find out what it was called.
Yeah.
I used IMDb message boards back when that was a
Fucking
thing.
A.
I described it. One guy commented, said, sounds like Playing Dangerous from 1995. I obtained it. It is totally it. The movie is bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very, very smoothly edited or directed either. It's directed by a guy named Lawrence Lanoff, who ended up mostly directing Playboy movies. But this was one of his first. It's not super competent. It's super low budget. It's incredibly violent, though. It is bizarre. And I love it. There is a sequel called Playing Dangerous 2, which is much more of like a kid's adventure movie, but he's still killing terrorists.
Yeah.
But I do want to mention that when they were marketing this film, they put in the tradition of Home Alone, because that's a film where a kid sets traps and blah, blah, blah. That's like saying Lord of the Flies is in the tradition of Gilligan's Island. Like, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
But if you can find a copy of Playing Dangerous, watch it and email me at doyouevenmovie@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to discuss this film. It's one of those films that I wanted to do on the show.
Yeah.
But you can't watch. I mean, you might be able to find a bootleg on YouTube or something, but it's not out there.
I found you a VHS, and I found it in the oddest of places.
That's one of my most prized possessions.
I know.
So Playing Dangerous 1995, that's a holy shit movie.
Yes, it is.
And I don't want you to tell them.
Okay.
So next week is my birthday.
Yes, it is.
I will be turning 38. So I was given carte blanche, to choose a film. I spent weeks deciding.
He did.
Sadly, it's not I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer.
It's not.
That's going to be next year.
Thank fucking Christ.
Next year's birthday. 39. That's what I'm going for.
Oh, boy.
But I picked a film that I don't think anyone, including David, could have guessed.
I did not guess it.
And I have a very specific reason why I picked it, which I will share on the show. It is going to be a very special episode of Do You Even Movie, because it'll be my birthday. I'm going to talk about why I love the film. I am going to also act like I own the place. Yeah. Which, by the way, I mean, I do.
You do.
But I'm going to act like it too.
That's fair.
So next week, it's a surprise. But if you want to find out early, we air every episode of Do You Even Movie early, exclusively on our Patreon. You get to see it Friday instead of Tuesday.
Yes.
And if you want to sign up for our Patreon, we would love to have you supporting us directly. Just go to doyouevenmovie.com, click on Patreon, and select the $3 a month tier, and you get every episode early and a lot of other bonus stuff from Weekly Spooky and all the other things I do.
Hell yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, I want them to be surprised.
Okay.
Because I want them to be as surprised as you were.
It's out of left field. Like the only thing that I will say is he picked a later sequel of something.
Yeah, sure.
That's
sure.
it. That's all you get.
Everybody thought it was going to be Terminator 2. Everybody thought it was going to be Monster Squad. Everybody thought it was going to be Sleepaway Camp 2 or something like that. Way! But no, it was not.
It was not.
So, and speaking of emailing us, we do have an email, and it's actually, let me make sure we don't have any new ones, but it's actually from our good buddy Wolfdan, who recommended this film tonight.
Soldiers, yeah.
It's a quick one.
Okay.
It's a little late.
Okay.
But it says, I knew it's a little late, but mulling over August. I don't remember if that one came up. That's actually a good one too. Mulling over August.
So yeah, because we did mulling around.
Mulling around is not bad, but mulling over August would have been good too.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, we appreciate it, Wolfdan. And remember, if you want to email us, it's doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com.
Yes.
So, well, I guess all that's left to do now is go watch The Crow again.
Yes, absolutely. The good one.
Anything else you want to say before we get the hell out of here?
Nothing except for the fact, thank you for listening and thank you for sending us messages. I've been getting a lot of great messages on both the Instagram page as well as the Facebook of people that are enjoying the show, recommendations. Cannot tell you enough how much it means to me to get just notoriety of just the notoriety. Get notification that you guys are listening to the show and enjoying it. This is just a labor of love for both of us, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And remember, whether you're listening to us on the podcast feed or you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, give us a like if you're on YouTube, and leave us a 5-star rating if you're on a podcasting app like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It makes a huge difference in helping other movie lovers find the show.
Oh, also, I will add, keep tuned because probably in the next couple weeks we'll be announcing our next live stream.
Oh yeah, we will. So don't fuck around. Don't miss it, or we'll execute 5 hostages for every one of you who don't show up.
Oh my God. Stakes are raised, guys.
It's true, you kids. So, all right, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. I don't like when we... that made me sad in my heart.
Can't rain all the time.
Oh.